here with one of our top agents, Stephanie Grable.
Yep.
And I mean, this is just relax and have fun.
Okay, perfect.
So I want to tell you kind of where I'm at, and I want to get your feedback.
Okay.
And we've been on this conversation a little bit, so probably a little less about real estate. We'll definitely dive into real estate and your background in that. So I've found in life that for me, I kind of have three priorities.
Okay.
So I have, my family, I have health, and I have business.
Okay.
And I can't seem to get all three to go at the same time. So it's like every time I'm like, oh, I'm going to focus on health. I feel like either I start feeling like I'm losing control of business, or I start, neglecting the family a little bit. Okay. And I know that's a journey that you've kind of tackled it. And one of the things that I've been really impressed about you is being able to run such a big real estate business. But I know you're also an awesome mom, and then you've focused on your health. And so, like, how have you found, or what do you do to kind of keep that work-life balance, work-life integration, whatever you want to call it?
Well, I do feel like there's trade-offs, though, like you're talking about, because I can't be 100% everywhere at all times. And so, but one thing that I do is I make sure, could I be doing 10 times more with my health than what I'm doing? Yeah, I could. But then I would start neglecting the other areas that you're talking about. So I know I've worked with my nutritionist. I know how to eat, and I can fit that in my day really easily. I just have to make the choices at the beginning of the day. If I wake up and I have not made my choices on my food and I come, then nutrition's out the door, right?
So you're telling me the bag of Halloween candy over there is not a good choice?
Was that your meal plan?
That was my meal plan.
I woke up and grabbed different food than you grabbed. If I don't have my workout time already set, then my workout doesn't happen. And so I sacrifice sleep a little bit to wake up early to get my workout in, because I know if I leave it to the end of the day, everything's going to run over, and that would be the first thing that would come off. So that's how I keep my nutrition in order. Is I already have easy snacks that I can just grab out of my pantry. So my meal planning is not like other people's. I'm not spending hours on a Sunday meal planning. I just won't do that. That's not who I am. I have found what works in my nutrition that's super easy for me to grab and go, because that's half the time I'm in my car, right?
Yep.
Like I can't have perishable snacks. The Chomp Sticks, those are one of my favorite things. Chomp Sticks and Sun Chips. They can go everywhere. They don't go bad, and they can stay an entire day in my car. Now, when it comes to my kids and the family, there are times where I have to say, okay, you guys are on your own for the night. I have to go out and I have to do this appointment. They understand, but I just make sure that I make it to their important things. Like, for instance, tonight is the girls' dance company performance, and there's not a chance I'm going to miss that. That's been blocked out in my calendar. So I have had to make decisions. Like, I've left my kids home alone at nights more often now than I have ever done before, or I have ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
But they're older now, so they can stay by themselves, and they actually don't really care, and they kind of like it when I'm gone now.
Right.
And so there are some trade-offs in that, but there's also anything that's vital is calendared, and it does not get missed.
Okay. So time blocking is huge to make sure you're taking care of the family.
Yes. Yeah.
Planning is what you're doing on the health side.
So for instance, last night, we had appointments already scheduled with Lucas's. So he plays in the baseball club. We had an appointment already scheduled with his coaches to go talk, because we're kind of talking the future. And prior to that, I got an offer in on one of my listings, and I needed to review it. And then I was verbally negotiating it, and I needed to write up the counter offer. But I knew that I had this appointment to go to as well. So then it became a choice, which one do I do? And so what I did is I told the buyer's agent, hey, I already have a family commitment tonight that I need to go to. I will get this written up. My clients will sign it, but I will not get it to you until tomorrow. And then when I talked to my clients, I told them the same thing. I already have a commitment that I have to be to tonight. I will either write it up really late tonight, or I will write it up tomorrow morning, and we will get this done. And all of their responses was, oh, go take care of your kids. You know, when you're honest with them like that, a lot of the times they'll come back and say, oh my heavens, Stephanie, go take care of your kids and then come back. Like, we're going to be fine, because it's already 7:00 at night, you know?
Yeah.
There are some clients that I have to be a little iffy on what I disclose to them, because they think that I am only a real estate agent. But for the most part, when I tell them like, hey, I'm juggling this tonight, like I want you to feel like you're a priority, I have to do this. A lot of the times they're really nice and gracious, and they give me that grace to go do that and then come back and finish my job.
So you've been able to become a top 500 agent, a top producer, still participate with your kids. I mean, tell me a little bit about your journey of how you got to where you're at today.
So my kids are now, I have a sophomore in high school and I have 2 in junior high. But when I started this journey, my oldest, who's now a sophomore, was in kindergarten. I had a kindergartner and I had 2 preschoolers when I started this. And so they have grown up with me. And as my business has grown, they have grown. And so at the beginning of it, being a mom always came number one, and it still does. I am a mom first before I'm a real estate agent. But at that time, I just tried to include them in my business, and they got paid. So for instance, my girls at preschool, my son I think he was in 1st grade, so he's full-time at school. I'd go pick my girls up from preschool. We'd go to the McDonald's drive-thru. I'd get them Happy Meals. They had their little iPads, and I would go do showings, and my girls would sit in the car, and we would get my showings done in the afternoon. And if they were really good, then when I got a closing, they got paid for their behavior, so to speak, because that was their part. And then we would make goals of what I was working towards and things that they wanted. And so they had they kind of put some skin in the game for me.
Do you feel like that they felt like included, invested in what you were doing? Like, were they having fun of being like, hey, I'm doing this too?
So the girls would come if they had little kids. If my clients had little kids, my girls would come to showings and they would play with their kids so that the parents and I could walk around the house. And so they got invested that way. They did a lot of kind of my little tasks at home for me so that they felt like they were part of it and they had fun with it. But anytime I would leave the home and they would stay home with Scott, they would all have a chant and they would say, go sell a house, go sell a house. So everybody just became really invested in this. Like if we decided we wanted a vacation, they knew that I had to work hard for that. And so there were going to be some things that we would have to sacrifice time-wise with me. So there was some buy-in, and that really kind of helped with having them be part of this with me. And now, when they were little, I used to, if I got a phone call, I would do this. They'll do that to you. I would go like this to them, and they would know not to say anything. You know, you're very quiet while I'm on the phone. And now it's just natural. And if we have friends in the car and I have a real estate call come in, they'll look at me and they'll say, do you need to answer it? And I will say yes. And they look at their friends and they're like, do not talk during this. You don't talk while she's on the phone. So everybody's in it. They know my clients, they know their names, they know what I'm working on. And so I didn't separate it. It's our family business.
Yeah. So you really brought in a work-life integration.
They've grown up with it. As I had a baby business when my kids were babies, and they have grown. All of it has grown together.
So talk about the progression of your business. Like as far as starting out, what did it look like? What do you do today that looks differently than what you started out doing?
So when I started out, I didn't start with the Stern team. I was a solo agent and learned pretty quickly on that other people were doing this already and had already kind of built this wheel. And so very early on in it, I didn't want to have to recreate the wheel. So I hired myself a real estate coach, and I was paying on that. So that kind of gave me, like, I had a bill to pay, so I needed to go make some money. So I immediately got some skin in the game on it, and I was just cold calling. That's how I started, was with cold calling, and built a pretty solid business over a couple of years. Then I met you and Jeremy and joined the Stern team. And from there, I learned what I didn't know, right? Business, naturally, real estate is a little bit easier for me, just because of my personality. But there were things that I didn't know how to do. Language of sales. I talked to people, but I didn't know how to talk to people on a higher level. And I remember the first time I came and I sat in the room with the Stern team and I thought, holy cow, I'm not the smartest person in this room. This is the room I need to be in, right? And so language of sales, we put together an awesome buyer seller presentation, but I think the biggest lesson I learned from you guys was leverage. And at that point, I had gotten to my business where I could only do as much as I could before I had to start sacrificing with my kids. And you know me, I'm never going to miss a baseball game. Right. I'm never going to miss a dance performance, a volleyball game. I will never sacrifice those events with my children, but I wanted to make more money. And so when I came here, my biggest lesson from you guys was leverage. So I immediately brought on a showing agent and started utilizing the showing agent. I had a TC now who was doing my admin work, and all of these people I'm paying, but yet I doubled my income with you guys. And with learning how to leverage out my business and basically spend some money to make myself more money.
Yeah, you're moving.
We lost it.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
You're moving, from the quadrant of being an independent contractor, essentially just still having a job for yourself, to building a business. And that really is, kind of what you have to do to have a business is use leverage. And so I think.
Well, and with the nice thing about that is with not having to show my own homes, I 100% was at every baseball game. I never at that point had to worry about missing out on anything because I didn't have to go show my own homes at that point. And so it really was turning it into a business.
Yeah. So as far as like setting up your schedule, because you're working around other people's schedules as well, is there anything that you do to make sure that, I guess any expectations you set with clients to make sure that you're still able to do the things that you need to do?
So when I go and I sit down and I talk to clients, I let them know I'm a mom. That's a big part of my life. It's not anything I'm going to hide from them. And I set this expectation even when I started my business. I let them know, hey, I am 100% yours up until 5 o'clock. But when 5 o'clock comes, my kids are home, we're doing their activities. I might be at a baseball game or somewhere else. And I always told them, I will either answer your call and you're going to hear some screaming in the background because of where I'm at. And or I'm going to let you know, I'll shoot you a text. Hey, I'm just busy, but I'm going to give you a call shortly. And so I've been accessible to my clients, but I have just asked for their grace at the same time. Hey, understand that I'm a mom. Like, you have your own time with your family. I need that as well. And so I also know when baseball games and things like that are, so I know what nights I'm free. So I can let people know I have this time, or this time available. And I give them 3 options because I know at least one of those are going to work. If I just say, oh, I can't, then they're not going to want to meet with me. And so it's easier for me to know my schedule, which is time blocking is so important, because then I can give out 3 options. Yeah. And then they never feel like I'm too busy for them.
Yeah. So do you feel like, at the end of the day, people are, they I guess, respect that you actually have a family. They're not put off.
I've only had one client in how many years have I done this? Like 9 years. I think I've only had one client, and it was at the beginning, that told me I was too much of a PTA mom for him. And and with that comment, I let that client go. Yeah. It wasn't a good fit. And so in 9 years, I've had one person. Even my hardest person, you've recently spoken to him, even he respected that I had a family, because he really wanted something done, and it was Halloween. And I just responded back to him and I let him know, I am off. I am doing Halloween with my family. I'll be back on tomorrow. And he came back, and he was upset, and he came back and said, I understand. Let's continue this tomorrow. So I've only had one person feel like I was not allowed to be anything other than a real estate agent.
And I think probably one of the reasons why our industry kind of has that rap of like, you should be available, is because people let it happen, right? Yeah. It's like, you get a toothache. Your dentist is not going to take your call at 10:30 at night and say,
No.
yeah, come on in, or like, let's hash this out, talk you through it, make you feel better. The attorneys, like CPAs,
They all have business hours.
respectable hours, right?
Yeah.
And so I think honestly, we've created that a little bit ourselves. But what I've found is anytime communicating with people and just letting them know this is what I'm available, this is when you can expect calls from me, like they typically respect it, and they'll even work their schedules around mine with proper communication.
Well, and they'll tell you if it's something at night, and they reach out. A lot of the times their text messages say, please don't respond to me till tomorrow, but I just wanted to get this out tonight before I forget.
Yeah.
Or I know you're with family, please don't read this, or something like that. They start respecting my time just as much. Once we respect our own time, we respect other people's time. But it's like you said at the beginning, if you don't set expectations, then they just bulldoze. And then when you try to set them in later on, then they feel like you're not servicing them. I'll tell you, I did learn my lesson on this, and it was one of my clients at the beginning. I absolutely love her. She's still my client. I still do transactions. She refers me to so many people. But she will overtake my life in a heartbeat if I let her. And it's just her natural personality. It's not disrespectful or anything. But with her, I have to set real clear guidelines, and I didn't at the beginning, and it got away from me. And so for that entire transaction, if it was 11 o'clock at night, she expected me to answer her phone call. And that was on me. And that was the one that I really learned. I have to set clear expectations up front.
Okay. So a lot of new agents kind of gravitate towards you in our brokerage for guidance, help. I think it comes naturally to you. So if you were giving advice to someone either looking to start a business or get into real estate and start out with, what's kind of your overall advice as people look to move from maybe a corporate America job into more of entrepreneurship?
Oh, that is a very loaded question. That is a really loaded question. The very first thing I tell them is when it's not easy. I think people, just real estate in general, think that a real estate business is going to be easy. They're going to get their license, and then everybody's going to give them a call, and they're just going to become rich overnight. I let people know it is a grind. You have to be willing to work. If you're not going to show up and treat this like you would treat your corporate job, then you probably should stay in your corporate job.
Right.
But if you're willing to wake up and respect yourself as a boss as much as you respected your corporate boss and show up every day and do the tasks, you can make this work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the one thing that I like to tell people is there's going to be a ramp up period. If you have a job, more than likely there was a period where they weren't making money. You had to go out and sell the product, bring it in, no matter what industry you're in, and unless you go raise a bunch of money, like if you're bootstrapping anything, you don't get the result until kind of your sales funnel has worked itself out. In real estate, especially, if you start with your sphere, there's only 1% of them that would even be an eligible customer that year. And so if you start going out, then it becomes a numbers game, and even then you make the connections. It might be 2 years before that person's ready to move. So just understand that if you're starting a business, and that could be even just a real estate career, that you're not going to get a paycheck after 2 weeks.
The other thing I would add to that is get yourself a coach or a mentor.
Yep.
So one of the agents in our brokerage in Omada, she's not with the Stern team, but in Omada, hired me as her mentor, and she had a coworker that was like, "Hey, you got your license. We'll give you a shot." And so she got an appointment with them, and they didn't want to sign with her because they felt she was inexperienced, and they wanted to interview somebody else. I was on that appointment with them, and because of my history, was able to help her close it and got her that first closing. Had she not had a mentor with her, they probably would have hired somebody else. And so always it helps you, it helps build your business. The mentor is not there to take your money, but the mentor is there to help you learn how to close, help you learn through the process. And I feel like you get it done a lot faster than when you're trying to do it on your own.
Right. And you have a lot less mistakes that cost you money that are learning experience anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, Stephanie, we are on time. Thank you for joining me today. If anyone wants to find you, how do they get in contact with you?
Do I just say my information out? Just throw it out there?
I would honestly just throw out your Instagram. I mean, I would assume you're on social media, right?
I am. So it's Steph Grable Real Estate on Instagram. You can find me there. Stephanie Grable on Facebook. I have my business page there, Steph Grable Real Estate there as well. Or you can just Google me, Stephanie Grable, and you'll find me in about a heartbeat.
Yeah, the power of Google.
The one thing is my daughters Googled me in school one time and then found all of my pages that way too. So, if my 13-year-old can do it, anybody can do it, right?
Okay, thank you much.